Hello boys and girls, I'm ForClassic and welcome to Cyberpunk 2077. This game it is developed by CD Projekt Red, the same developers behind The Witcher and GOG Galaxy, and this is using their Red Engine 4, which is their latest iteration of their in-house engine. And today, cutting all the crap aside, we are here to try the GTX 1650 Super running Cyberpunk 2077. So I was already expecting bad news regarding performance, so I'm not surprised how bad or good this game is performing. So first of all, you want to go to gameplay, and there is a crowd system over here and a slow HDD mode. So if you have an HDD, you need to activate that slow HDD mode, and depending on your CPU, you should use the crowd system to, adjust your crowd system according to your CPU. So if you have a recent Ryzen CPU, I do recommend you to go with EI. But if you have something worse or a low-end Ryzen, I do recommend to go with median or even low. So for the rest of the settings, I'm using the median presets and it is pretty good. And I'm using textures on high, which actually did surprise me, because looking to the recommended requirements and where they do recommend 6GB of VRAM, I was expecting that I would need to drop the textures in order for the game to perform decently. But what I did find out is that with the textures on high, my VRAM usage was around 4GB of VRAM, which is correct. But if I did drop to median, it was around 2.8, 2.7GB of VRAM, and at low, it was around 3. So if you have a 3GB graphic card, you might want to use probably low. If you have a 4GB AMD card, you might want to use textures on median. And if you have more than that, you might want to use on 4. So looking to the requirements over here, you can clearly see that we are below the recommended requirements in here. Despite I think that the GTX 1650 Super it is actually slightly better than the 1060, but okay. But for the rest of the settings, we are on the recommended. These recommended settings are for 30 frames per second. It is not for 60 as people were expecting, so this makes the game considerably much more demanding. But let's just jump to the things that you want. Let's jump to the results. So all my benchmarks were at 1080p, and the benchmark parse just was driving throughout the city. And so this is what I got. With ultra settings, I got frame rate with average of 30, but it was dropping below 30 frames per second. The high settings, the average was between it was performing between 30 to 40 at high settings. I haven't seen any drop below 30. Although, if I had to guess, this is an open world game and there is a lot of variance happening, so the game might drop below 30. That's why I do recommend you to go with median. You can expect an experience between the 40 to 60 frames per second, more and less. There might be areas where it can perform worse. I just tried this at the beginning of the game, driving through the city, so I'm pretty sure there will be more demanding moments. But so far, that's the experience that you can expect for the game. And as for low settings, what you can expect, it is something above 50 frames per second, and that's it. So at median settings, if you want to try and enable dynamic resolution over here, you can use Fidelity FX. Although the results are not really great, as since we are having an average around the 50s and minimums of 40, when you use Fidelity FX to do the dynamic resolution, I think it drops the resolution way too much because we are far away from the 60 frames per second, and so it just looks really bad, using this dynamic resolution at 1080p. So I guess we need to deal with it. I guess we need to either lock the game at 30 frames per second and use a gamepad to play or something like that, because playing this game at 30 frames per second, since it's an FPS game, it's really, really hard to play as a PC gamer. This is very bad, so either I play with a gamepad, or either I play with mouse and keyboard with a lock of 30 frames per second, or either I will play it unlocked using these median settings. As for low settings, I think it is a considerable downgrade. I can clearly notice the difference between each preset. So from low to median, there is a huge difference in everything. So there is no local shadows, inside the closed informants. There is no screen space reflections. And overall, the shadow distance and resolution, it is quite bad. at median settings, I think you get activated all this stuff, so it does look pretty good. But at night, I've noticed that the volumetrics from the light, especially when it's raining, it's very blocky. So that's probably the only downside I can tell about the median settings. The high settings, it is great, so it just packs everything together and delivers a huge and great graphics package. And the ultra settings, I've noticed the difference mostly in the reflections of the car and usually draw distance. This was just that a fast look into graphics. I wasn't really analyzing each difference. It's just what I've noticed immediately between changing the presets. There is also ray tracing, but since the GTX 1650 Super doesn't support ray tracing or even DLSS, I wasn't really able to try it out, so I'm sorry for that. So as for the rest of the video, I will be talking a little bit about the game. Not that much, because I think you all heard about the game, and I just played like 1 hour, so I don't have too much to talk. I just have my own opinions about what is happening with this release. And also, you will be seeing some gameplay. Keep in mind that the gameplay probably it will be the worst thing you ever see in your entire life, mostly because I didn't focus that much in learning how to play the game. So I just simply suck. So please don't kill me because of that. Alright, so let's talk a little bit now about the game. So I really want to talk about this, and I'm not really talking about the game itself, since I just played like 1 hour, and I feel I have no right to talk good or bad about the game in that regard. Because, this game, it is huge, so 1 hour is nothing. Even sometimes 13 hours or 40, it is nothing, and should be hard to talk. But what I talk, it is about the situation, the bugs, the optimization. I think that, in my opinion, I think CD Projekt Red, this game wasn't really ready for launch. I just saw some 2 or 3 physics bugs in 1 hour. I haven't saw anything more than that. Everything works properly out of the way. But according to many users out there, the game it is full of bugs. So if I had to guess, these guys have been delaying the game over and over, and they just couldn't delay more because their stock actions just took a deep dive and they lost a lot of money by delaying the game. So they couldn't just delay the game one more time, and they had to release the game no matter what. So they released this project, they crunched the entire team into working more than 12 hours per day to deliver the game in the actual state that it is. So for me, I haven't had too much issues, but I know that many people have, even people with the latest patch have been having tons of issues with bugs mostly. So the optimization performance of the game, I think it is something that might change along the line, because you can clearly see that these guys needed time. Because first of all, they released this game for the PS4, Xbox One, and they also released the game for PS5 and the Xbox Series, which are the new consoles, but they didn't took the time to work in their next generation features. So if you're going to buy the game for the PS5 or the Xbox Series, what you will get, it is pretty much the same visual assets as the old consoles. Probably you get a bump in resolution, I don't know, that's something for Digital Foundry to analyze. But at the time of this video, the next generation consoles don't have advantages in assets comparing to the older generation cards. So the real next generation version of Cyberpunk will come next year, probably and obviously as a free update. And that's about it. Only the PC version, it is currently the only next generation stuff version of the game that you can actually play. So that already shows up that these guys are probably a little bit delaying delivering what they want. As for the PC version, they knew they could deliver the game in whatever state they wanted. People would criticize, but CD Projekt Red knows that they have a great reputation. People would understand and wait for the patches. And that's exactly what it's going to happen. For the upcoming months and weeks, CD Projekt Red will probably focus in trying to deliver that next generation version for the new consoles, alongside with fixing the bugs mostly of the game, which is something that people it is complaining the most. As for performance, if I had to guess, that's something that they will really focus, probably it will be the last thing they will focus on, since, first it is stability and bugs, and only then comes the performance. they might want to try to deliver improvements in performance because of the next generation consoles, but if I had to guess, that's something that it's not on their priority list at the moment. So what you see, it will be what you get. This is the performance that you get throughout the game. I think it's acceptable, it's just disappointing in my opinion. The game looks great, alright, don't get me wrong. It's just disappointing because I just brought this 1650 Super, and I know that this is a low-end card, but you know, still, last year, or even throughout the entire year, I've been running games at 60 frames per second high settings. Any single game I threw into this card, I was able to do that. Exception of Death Stranding, which I had to reduce textures because of VRAM, but that's something that we know that the GTX 1650 Super don't have too much VRAM, so I fully understand that. Although, Watch Dogs Legion was released, Assassin's Creed Valhalla was released, and Ubisoft have kind of a reputation with PC ports, so I wasn't really surprised that those games couldn't run as properly as I was expecting. Still, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla at the moment, and I'm fine with it. Although Cyberpunk 2077 took it to another league, so it's even more demanding than the Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and GTX 1650 Super gone from being a graphic card that usually plays games at high or ultra settings at 60 frames per second to a graphic card that barely handles median settings on Cyberpunk above 30 frames per second. So, whoa, what a jump. But still, Cyberpunk 2077, it will be a game just like Witcher 3. It will be a game that will be in here for years and years to come. So with years, I'm going to upgrade my graphic cards along the line as long as they are releasing. And so I'm pretty sure Cyberpunk 2077 will be a benchmark from the upcoming years, no matter whatever it's going to happen. Because this game, it might be hard to run at Ultra, but if we have ray tracing, it gets even more demanding. And it will surely be a great benchmark along the way. So guys, I think that's all that I want to talk about Cyberpunk 2077 performance. Hope you keep enjoying the rest of the video, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
But shit. Well, all right. Come on, gotta line up. Take a hit. Better. Now we can talk. Here we go. A flathead. Model MT0 D12.
Need to see it.
Suit yourself. Fucking tricked out this thing. Dynamic thermal optic camo armor. Full cognitive immersion with a Raven controller. Pimped out prototype actuators made of titanium vanadium Kevlar composite. And watch this! Fully integrated link too, so when the spider starts crawling up walls dangling from ceilings.
Could lose your lunch.
So what you think?
Yep, we'll take it.
Free. Sure. Yeah. Let's see your cred.
Brick got it. It's all paid out.
Brick got it. I don't see any fucking brick around here, do you?
Come on. Can't expect me to pay for this thing twice.
And who the fuck are you to say what can and can't be? You'll pay twice because I say you'll pay twice. Alright. You want the flathead? I better see some eddies.
Seeing as you already got the eddies for it, you ought to offer us a discount. A big one.
A discount? Fuck. You know, you never did say who sent you. Never did say who you're working for.
Dexter Deshawn. That's who.
Dexter Deshawn. The lord ass who punching animal fucked half of Pacifica? And he ain't dead?
No, he's alive, well, and kicking. And he sends his regards.
So, gonna consider my offer now? Bang.
Covering that!
Cocksuckers!
Going down! Now it all makes sense!
Fuerte, cabrón!
With you in a sec!
Cut off. Grab the gear. Bot and control shard. Quick!
Got the set. Bot and controller.
Then let's go. Quicker the better. Let's get out of here. Dying for some fresh air. Well, they failed. His feet. Ah, I can taste it.
It's a production line. Plus, I thought you loved meat.